Director Foley, Director Hamilton, Director Mendieta Ramos.
When she said she'd be a few minutes late, she is driving in her car, so it'll be a few minutes, but she will be joining us.
Okay. Director Mitchell,
Present.
Director Mays, Director Olson, Director Phelps-Socorro,
Present.
Director Wilson. She's there. Okay.
Are we in compliance with the open meeting law?
Yes, we are in compliance.
All right. So first I wanted to get a little feel from all the board members what their point of interest is on the Minority Participation Task Force, whether that's construction, purchasing, or whatever you may have concerns with. Okay. So I know initially we were talking in a board meeting previous to Dave and, I'm sorry, I forgot. Nikki's joining us on the board, and we were discussing participation on different construction projects, as well as in the purchasing department as a whole. And we were finding that we were not meeting those goals. And we were looking to come up with suggestions on how that might transpire in the future. And making sure that since it is part of the policy that we actually carry that out.
Can I get some more information about, can you kind of expand a little bit more about what this is all about? Are you looking for, I'm sorry, board members to join like certain subcommittees to evaluate projects, or are we looking at setting up rules on how we select, you know, like contractors?
So it's more based on, we are the subcommittee, and it is more on how we select and we actually follow through with our goals of participation. So previously I looked at some of the contracts, and it is in like the construction contracts, but are we keeping track with, did they use someone from the hub zone area, or are they, do they have a more diverse spend? How is that being kept track of? Where we broadcasting that we actually have some type of purchasing going on? I know we said that some of it's in the daily reporter, and do the contractors actually know where to go look for MATC contracts, whether that be purchasing or construction? Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I know originally Director Wilson and Director Hamilton we were discussing some concern, as well as Chair Foley. So I guess basically we want to take a look at how that process is actually transpiring and see if there needs to be any tweaks to that process, so that we can follow through and ensure that there are that MATC is meeting their goals.
So what's the process now?
I think that was a little what we were vague on. We weren't for sure what was transpiring. All we knew that for me, this would be the second year that we weren't meeting our goals.
And
So no, this is
Janice Falkenberg, and maybe I could just suggest that the committee or the task force let us know everything they would like to know, because we do have processes for all of these things. And I think it might be helpful for the board members that are on the call to get grounded in what those processes are and what some of our parameters are that we can operate under based on statutory, regulatory, and state system guidelines. So if that's something that the task force would be interested in getting some foundation on, we can provide that. From the construction perspective, I oversee that area, and then Jeff Hollow is on the phone from the procurement side for all the other procurement items. Laura Moore and Jeff could provide perspective on that for the task force, if that's what the task force would be interested in learning about.
yes, we would definitely be interested on
This is
both
Lally.
sides. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, this is it. This is it.
Director Ramos, I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm driving, so I'm managing with the car phone. Yeah, I think it'll be very helpful to get the background information so that we can figure out what is needed, what we're missing, because, you know, every institution is different. So any background information that you can provide to us will be very helpful.
Okay, so we can certainly pull that together and have that available for you all. And I think kind of the purpose of today's call is just to really fully understand what type of information you would like from us. And then, so we would be able to provide that to you, and then where you would like to go from there.
I think also we discussed, Mark and I discussed looking at historic numbers, like maybe a couple years back, and trying to see where we are, and so we can have a goal of where we would like to be.
Sure. And how many years back would you like to go?
If we could go back, I think 3 years would be reasonable.
Okay.
And I know that you said before that the past 2 years we have not met our goals. Can you also provide us that information, like how far off we were from meeting our goal? And if it was a specific area or specific type of contract that kept us from getting that goal?
And I think there was one other area we were taking a look at, which was transitioning job roles. I know it was voiced a few times in meetings about specifically hiring or promotion of Black women. I know, like when we have our cutouts in the board meeting and it says this month, this is our transition, how many jobs were created, how many people have moved from this position to another. And I know it has a lot to do with education and professional status, but that's something else that we wanted to take a look at as well.
Okay, I just need to say that's a very different task than I think the one here. And so that would be a whole different group of folks. So I'm just wondering if first you want to take care of this one and then maybe have a conversation with the whole board about a new task. This feels different, unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, but I think that's a very different topic, and we don't have the right people here to address that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that could be another one. I know that's more HR as compared to procurement and construction.
Right.
Could you also share with us these jobs out there, how we're procuring for them, so where the listings are going and what kind of reach do we have? Or maybe not what kind of reach do we have, but are we able to track where they're coming from, where we're getting the contractors from when we post the bids?
So again, I guess I would ask, are you talking about construction or in general procurement?
Well, in general, not only construction, but just in general.
Okay. So what region they're coming from in terms of location? Is that
No, I'm like, okay, so whenever we have a bid, like in construction in particular, if we have a bid and we need to meet our minority, where are we posting those bids or those jobs, or if it's employment, just in general, how are we getting our information out there?
Okay, so
what's our procurement system?
Okay, so where are we sourcing from? Is I think what you're asking.
Right.
Or purchasing. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Also, I know we talked briefly about what systems we were using and how diverse spend would know about those particular systems. And I remember Director Hamilton had mentioned something about he would be willing to share how the city finds out if someone is hub zone or local entity, minority owned business.
Hello, can anybody hear me?
There you are.
Yeah, this is Ashanti. I just realized that I was looking in the notes. And it's like, who's dad's phone? I guess that's me. I every time I come into this meeting, my name goes back to what my girls put it as. So you know who sets up the phones over here. But I wanted to just to add something real quick, because I missed the beginning of the meeting, so I didn't know how you all were setting it up. So it seemed to me that the president and some of the team wanted to get from the task force what we were looking for. Is that the gist of it?
You're correct.
Okay. Because I think there is a bunch of different ways that this discussion would go if we all kind of gave a little bit of what we were looking for. I think that there were some general themes that came up, and Director Phelps was, kind of spot on just kind of pulling all of those things together so that there's kind of a picture. But I think by and large, what we were saying is we need to do a better job of tracking how we are performing with our goals. And is there a system in place to make sure that we are actually doing that? And I was just surprised that it had taken, some years of me being on on the board without regularly kind of hearing this presentation like we do, some of the other measurements. And part because I think that is part of the mission of MATC, and it has to be part of the way that we also do business. And I was just surprised that there wasn't a closer attention paid to that. I think it would be very helpful for the task force members and the people who are, folks that's interested in trying to improve, if there was a way of having like the very first meeting of the task force be, this is what we do. This is how we do it. These are our goals. This is the process that's in place. And also come to the table with some of the things that other municipalities have been doing in the areas, things that the city's been doing, MMSD, that we could probably do to improve that process. And then we can have task force members kind of respond to that and kind of help direct that action and the development of that improvement. Because we can give you an insurmountable amount of of individual things that we would like to see.
And Director Hamilton, this is Janice Falkenberg again. We will certainly do that, and we'll have that information for you. We do have some systemic probably barriers in some areas in terms of what our procurement guidelines allow us to do from the state's perspective. And that might be an area that the board will want to become involved in as well to see what we can do to advocate for some change. So I think, giving you that grounding and the foundation as to what we are operating under, and then what are some of our impediments perhaps that, and how we can get creative and maybe doing things differently, but then also what barriers may we need to break through legislatively or otherwise to get some more leniency to do some of the things I think you may be talking about the city and others have the ability to do.
Yeah.
And we may need to seek some outside legal opinions too, because sometimes our state system tells us we can't do some things, and we may need to, dig a little deeper to see if we really can or can't, based on their interpretation versus what we would like to do. So those are just some of the things that I've thought about since the last meeting.
Yeah. And then I would just add that I'm familiar with some of those impediments. I think it's good to even have an understanding of those things too first, so that folks aren't expecting you to do things that legally you can't do. But also having something similar that that MPS does with the COIN program, since we do have so many students that do the type of work that we hire people to do, having something like a COIN program and monitoring and incentivizing, contractors to give MATC graduates a look would be helpful. So thanks.
Okay, does anyone else have anything that they might want to see or have any questions?
Okay, yeah, I guess I want us to look at as many things as possible that we can do, because we're in such a state in this country, everybody talk about what they can do. I want to talk about what we can do. And I know we do some things at the Housing Authority. If somebody would send me something on what we're already doing and what we can't do, and then we can get a time to talk about the things that, I apologize, my computer does that, about some things that we can do, because we really, I think we're going to be struggling to try to get enough of the things that are deemed satisfactory. So if somebody could send me that, if you already sent it to me, tell me where I can go back in the files and get it.
Director Wilson, were you speaking about something in specific or?
Only for procurement. I just need to know in our procurement policies, what are we doing already?
Okay.
Or like the, gosh, I'm blanking out. I probably shouldn't be doing, for the businesses of color and women and those, and I know somebody gave us a report on that. I just can't remember. Of what are we doing now? Because there are some things that you're saying we can't do. I want to know what we are legally can do right now in the area of hiring and making sure that more businesses of color and women get more of our jobs.
This is Laura Moore, the procurement manager. I do provide an annual report on that about what we are doing. I can certainly put that together with all of the other things that you were asking me to report on for the next meeting. That'll be just part of my overview. And then I also do have some great ideas, and I'm kind of excited to share with everyone. I would include that in my report for next time as well.
I'm not trying to give you more work. Maybe nobody wants it but me. Maybe everybody else remembers all of that.
Thank you, Laura.
Sure.
Okay.
This is Jeff. This is Jeff Hollow, Vice President of Finance. Each year in September, we report out to the board all of our purchasing, and we report out the minority purchases, as well as our construction-related spending related to minority businesses as well. So that we do have the 3 years that you did ask for. So that should be pretty quick and easy. And then, like I said, in each September after the year's close, we look back at the year and we see what we've spent, and how what we've accomplished. And we've always have new initiatives each year. So as Laura mentioned, she can mention some of the initiatives that were implemented last year, and we can review those reports. And like I said, in September, we'll have fiscal year 2020 presented, but we'll bring the 3-year history and see where the 3-year trend is.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And then just to answer Dr. Martin from previous, Director Hamilton or Director Wilson, I know we also, when I spoke with Director Foley, we talked about 3 things: diversity spend, diverse recruitment, and diverse transition. So those are potentially another subcommittee because it's a different group of people. Just want to know your thoughts on that.
So what's the diverse transition? I'm not sure exactly what that means.
Okay, so I think it's similar, but transition, just when we are moving over to guided pathways, there was some concern about the way or who received different positions, basically.
Oh, so that's still part of the other one. Yeah,
Correct.
That's HR and some other leaders that are not here at this meeting. So that may be a different task force.
Correct. And then Janice, if you can just give me just real briefly what you feel like we discussed today as far as what we're looking for. And I just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Sure. So I think what I heard from all the individuals on the calls is
Janice, can you talk into the mic? They can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll get my mic a little closer. So what I heard from the individuals on the phone is that we will be providing for both parts.
Janice, we can't hear you.
I don't know. I have my microphone on, so I'm not sure why you can't hear me. Can you hear me now?
Yes. Talk
Okay.
there.
All right. So I'll try to stay. I've got this little bulb right here that I'll try to talk into a little bit better. So,
I can't hear her.
okay. I am sorry. Can you hear me now?
When you face the screen, we can hear you. When you turn away, we can't.
Okay, let me.
We can hear you when you turn your face to the right. So if you turn your face to the right, we can hear you. There you go.
Okay, I'll try to stay right here. So what I heard asked for is that we'll be providing you both from the construction procurement perspective as well as our general procurement perspective, the statutory, regulatory, and administrative guidelines we have to follow in terms of providing you a foundation of what we need to follow in our guidelines. We'll also be providing you a 3-year trend of how we have been tracking in terms of our goal, and that is our internal goal. We do not have any state required goal or any other type of goal that we have. So we have our internal goal that we try to meet. So we'll provide you with a trend of that. We'll also be providing you with what we are doing to enhance our participation rates to meet our goal and to determine whether or not our goal is acceptable or should we be striving for something more. And then to talk about some of the perhaps impediments that we have to doing some of the more creative things that perhaps some of our other municipalities, other public entities are able to do. And then just to talk about what other ideas the board members may have based on their past experience and based on what they know is available. And then I think we also talked about the where we're currently sourcing from. So where are we putting out our bids? Where are we putting out the information that we're looking for diverse suppliers and diverse contractors? And looking at some of the other perhaps more creative alternatives to maybe what MPS, the city, is doing to see if we can piggyback on that or if we have any barriers to doing that based upon our procurement guidelines. So that's what I heard. If I missed anything, I'm sure you want to chime in.
I think the other thing we wanted to take a look at, the other item is utilizing the students that are in those particular areas or COIN or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I meant by what MPS is doing, because I think Director Hamilton mentioned MPS has the COIN program, and we've talked about seeing how we can increase. We do have apprenticeship goals that we are, per board policy, that we are meeting, but maybe how can we ensure that some of that work is going to our students?
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, and just for reference, does anyone prefer to have a later afternoon meeting or a lunch meeting for our next meeting?
I like that idea, Madam Chair.
Which one?
The lunch meeting.
Okay. Okay.
Would a noon meeting work for the board members that are on the call now?
It would work for me.
It'll work for me.
It'll work for me. Too.
Dave or Nikki?
Yeah, that should be fine if I know in advance when it's going to be so I can work around my schedule. That should be good.
Yeah, same for me. It just depends on the day. As long as I can fit it in, it'll work.
Thank you. All right. Does anyone else have any comments or questions?
I have one.
All right.
Can you do something about Zoom? It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
I can personally.
So what time frame do you think Janice will need to gather all this information?
I would say we can have it together fairly quickly. I would say, I just don't know how soon this task force wants to meet again. I would say give us a couple of weeks, maybe.
When you get the information ready, when will that be?
I think we'd want to get the information together and then get it out to the task force to give them time to review it. So, you know,
Ask you, how long will that be?
I said maybe give us we are starting our fall semester next week, so maybe give us 2 weeks to put that together and get it out to the task force members.
Okay. So like 3 weeks from now, that would work?
Sure.
Okay.
So Carrie, I'll connect with you to confirm the date and then we'll get the invitation sent out and such, okay?
Okay, thank you. And if no one else has any questions or comments, then may I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right. So we had a motion from Director Hamilton and a second from Director Nikki
Mays, yes.
Mays. Okay, I was like
I know, that's weird, it's Mays.
Mays. Okay, Director Mays. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you. See you
Thank
guys soon.
Thank you.